touch the leg. Welcome to Dharma sharing. I hope you have been doing well, and at the same time I hope that you have some spare time to review those beautiful instructions, to read and to understand them, and try to contemplate those teachings that you have heard. It will be always beneficial for you to do so. So I encourage you to have some spare time for your Dharma practice. Either that can be listening of Dharma or contemplating of the Dharma, or simply resting your mind and meditating. Okay. So before we start, let us join our hands together and do the rapid prayers, and followed by the generations of bodhicitta. Sangye jodan zoge jonam la janjo bado dane gyabzonje dage joge bezo namge dola benje sange ndo barisho sangye jodan zoge jonam la janjo bado dane gyabzonje dage joge bezo namge dola benje sange ndo barisho sangye jodan zoge jonam la janjo bado dane gyabzonje dage joge bezo namge Dola benje sange do barajo semje tamje dewa dan dewen gyu dan de baragurje dongan dan dongan ge gyu dan da war gyuje dongan me ben dewa dan ba dan me da war gyuje ngere ja dan ge dan de tanyum jembola ne baragurje semje tamje dewa dan dewen gyu dan de baragurje dongan dan dongan ge gyu dan da war gyuje dongan me ben dewa dan ba dan me da war gyuje ngere ja dan ge dan de Tanyum Jembola Nebra Gurje, Semje Damje, Dewa Dan Deve Gudan, Dembra Gurje, Dunga Dan Dunga Gudan, Dewa Gurje, Dunga Mebe, Dewa Dambana, Medawa Gurje, Jadan Gidan, Tanyum Jembola Nebra Gurje, Balin Zave, Lama Rimboje, Dagi Jurupe Medejula. Godin Chembe Gone Jason de Guson to Gengo Zado. Okay. So we are now trying to understand those trainings in aspiration and engaged bodhicitta, and particularly emphasizing on the trainings in engaged bodhicitta, and those are known to be 6 paramitas or 6 perfections. And all these 6 perfections are the real path that one should walk on. One should train in these trainings, and in order to perfect our bodhicitta, in order to bring beings into liberation, and also in order to benefit oneself and others by freeing ourselves and others from the suffering of samsara. Because remember, when we first give rise to bodhicitta, we made 2 commitments. The first one is to attain enlightenment, complete and full enlightenment, not just wanting to be happy life or good body, good wealth, good positions, and so on and so forth, which are samsaric, or the this life's achievement. Those are not so considered as much important. The more important is to attain complete and perfect Buddhahood, which is lasting, permanent, and ultimate happiness. So our kind of wish is to attain complete and perfect enlightenment. And the second question is, for what purpose? For the purpose of others, or in order to benefit others, or in order to free other beings from the suffering of samsara. So these were the 2 commitments that we made. There are 2 objectives, freeing, benefiting sentient beings, and attainment of the complete and perfect Buddhahood. Because as for now, we are ordinary beings, even though we have a good aspiration bodhicitta, but we cannot benefit so many beings in actual fact. So in order to benefit so many beings, we need to have some kind of knowledge, wisdom, realization, and the best realization is the realizations of Buddhahood, primordial wisdom. So our target is to attain the complete and perfect Buddhahood, and our purpose is to benefiting sentient beings. So in order to do so, we need to understand all these different trainings. First, hear those trainings and then contemplate in their meaning, remember them, and then actually apply them in our day-to-day life. All these 6 paramitas, which are wonderful teaching, which are wonderful, path that lead us to the perfect and complete Buddhahood. So for that reason, we are trying to understand these trainings, the 6 paramitas. And among these 6 paramitas, the first paramita is known as the dana paramita, or the generosity, perfections of generosity. So we came to know that there are many different types of generosity. When we regularly hear the word generosity or being generous, it's just we focus on giving, shelter, something to others, some goods to others. Either that can be money or food or clothing. But there are another two, generosity that which we are not so much familiar with. So obviously the first one is giving wealth, and the second kind of generosity is the giving protection or the giving fearlessness. With your capability, you may be very skilled in physical activity or strong to give protection to others. You can protect others from thieves. You can also protect others from natural disasters. You can also protect others from epidemic diseases. All these wonderful things that you can do are also considered as the type of generosity, the second type of generosity, which is the giving fearlessness. And this also can include the issue of environment protection, environmental issue, because usually, generally speaking, we have enough. All the human beings have enough, but then why there's an imbalance? Some have more and some have less, and some even don't have anything. Some even are lacking, unfortunately, of daily necessities. And why all this happen is because of humans, creation, craving, humans' desire and attachment. They are taking more than what is needed. And because some individuals are taking more, then other individuals are not getting enough. And these are all our creations of our own act, So therefore, we need to balance these things. So in order to balance these things, then the so-called this nowadays very popular kind of campaign of saving environment, saving water, saving air quality. This is a wonderful thing to do. We should appreciate this, and we should also involve in this, promoting this campaign and issues, because then we are giving some kind of protection to others. Otherwise, if this continues, if powerful nations or powerful people are taking more than what is needed, and because of that, as a consequences, some are not getting anything. So therefore, there's imbalance there. Because of that, there's inequality, and because of that, people are giving rise to anger, aversion. Then there's a war, fight. All disputes will take place because of that reason. So we all have some responsibilities from our side to promote the environmental issue, protections of environment, and that is why nowadays many people, many countries, many youths are participating in this event, which is a wonderful thing to do. And if you are able to do so, contribute a little bit from your side, this will be also considered as the giving fearlessness or giving protection, which is considered as one of the 6 paramita, the paramita of generosity, by giving fearlessness to others. Likewise, we have witnesses, different types of new diseases, epidemics. These are also because of humans' creation, because humans have consumed things that we do not need to. We have 90 different varieties of things that we can consume. We can eat them to sustain our life. But then because of people's craving and desire, they consume things that which are not really not a thing that is good for your health, because of consuming different animals, so to speak. And this is what we are told that the origin of this pandemic is. So likewise, there are so many different examples of this epidemic and pandemic causing, so many lives, taking so many lives of people. And this all came because of humans craving, humans' desire. So therefore, we need to act to stop those things. We need to, enlighten people of what is, good and what is not good for their health and for others. We need to have discriminating knowledge, and we also need to, show other people the right path and the wrong path. Therefore, you are encouraged to participate in these different types of environmental issue and also the protections of people's life. So this is one of the generosity practice, giving fearlessness to others. Then we have the third type of generosity, which is known as the giving Dharma or Dharma teaching. So if you know the Dharma, the instructions of the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas, all these wonderful instructions which are very relevant, very beneficial, healing our mental sorrow, disharmonies, healing our stress, depression, anxiety, disappointments, anger, hatred, jealousy, so on and so forth. So these instructions of the Buddha are so wonderful, are the best medicine ever to deal with our internal emotions, to tackle with our different situations of our internal emotions. And that is why it is considered as the best medicine, which cannot buy in the medical store. That is why this kind of Dharma practice or the sharing of the Dharma is very wonderful. So if you want to take an example, of this practice is through sharing the Dharma for others. When you share the Dharma to others, you need to share with kind of motivations of with compassion, wanting to see sentient beings freeing from the suffering of samsara, wanting to see sentient beings, all beings having happiness. And because of that reason, you are trying to share this Dharma, because this Dharma is the instrument or is the tool for attainment of that perfect and complete happiness. So therefore, we should not hesitate of sharing the Dharma. So these are the three different types of generosity. Okay. So among these three, we have studied the first, giving wealth. We also understood that we should have pure giving, and we should avoid impure giving. Impure giving, involvement of wrong motivation, wrong method, wrong materials, and avoiding that, and then encouraging ourselves of having pure motivation while giving wealth to others, and giving the pure materials which are not harmful to others, and then giving with the pure method, with respect and with gratitude, and also with compassion, wanting to see them free from suffering of samsara. So therefore, you are at least contributing a little bit to benefit other beings. At least you're contributing a little bit to free sentient beings suffering. So this is the practice of the giving of the wealth. Now today we are going to talk about the second type of generosity, which is known as giving fearlessness. So giving fearlessness means to give protection from the fear of thieves, wild animals, diseases, rivers, and so forth. All these different types of fears, that sentient beings may encounter. So you, with your capacity, you should not hesitate if there's any possibilities, if there's any chances that you can protect others from these disasters, these diseases, these wild animals, and these natural disasters or thieves, bandits, and so on and so forth. So if you are able to do so, you should not hesitate. You should give hand and try to give the protection to those in need of help. Those who are sick, you should not hesitate giving them medicines. Those who are
in the dangers of wild animal, you should show them the right path, which are less dangerous than the others. And also you should not hesitate giving hands to those who are in the danger of natural disasters, making awareness program, teaching them, giving them skills. All these different methods one can apply in order to free sentient beings from those different types of fears. And obviously different type of pandemic and epidemics, the not only wishing sentient beings to be free from this epidemic and pandemics, but also to knowing the origin of this pandemic and the cause of this pandemic. And when you know the cause of this pandemic, then you'll be able to eliminate the cause, which then bring free of suffering, because the cause is the one which will give result to suffering. So therefore we need to give education to people. We need to tell next generations or our generation even about what we can consume and what we should not consume. You should differentiate what is your need and what is your want. You cannot satisfy your wants, but at least you can satisfy what you need. You can fulfill your needs, but you cannot fulfill your wants. You cannot fulfill your desires, because it keeps coming one after another. So there's no end. So the great bodhisattvas in the past said that the desire or craving is like drinking a salty water to kill thirst, which will not happen. The more salty water you drink, the more thirsty you feel. So therefore it's like that. So we need to educate those. We need to give protection from those different types of sufferings. The Bodhisattva Bhumi says generosity or fearlessness is protection from the things like lion, tigers, crocodiles, robbers, thieves, reapers, and so forth. So this is one way of practicing the generosity, giving protection. Okay. Then the third type of generosity is the giving of the Dharma, giving the Dharma. The 4 topics describes the practice of giving Dharma. The first one, the recipient, who is receiving the Dharma. Second one is the motivations of the teacher or the Dharma teacher. Then we have this actual sharing of the Dharma. And then finally, the fourth point or topic is the method of showing the Dharma teachings. So these 4 topics comprises the teachings of the instruction on giving Dharma. We should know how to give Dharma, what to give, what kind of Dharma we should give, to whom we should give, and with what kind of motivation we should give the Dharma. So these 4 points are quite important here. And like sharing of the Dharma is a wonderful thing to do, because remember, among the 3 the generosities, the first one is giving wealth. Giving wealth will protect someone's body. If someone is under suffering from hunger and thirst, or not having shelter, clothing, so you can give those wealth in order to fulfill and satisfy those. So that is to benefit others' body. And the second type of generosity, which is known as the giving fearlessness, that is to protect others' life from dangers, from sicknesses, from natural disasters, from thieves, from robbers, from wild animals. There's a danger for their life, so you are giving protection to save their lives. And third type of generosity, which is the giving of the Dharma, this is to protect people's mind. If you give Dharma teaching, you can protect people's mind from suffering of anxiety, depression, disappointments, hatred, anger, jealousy, pride, arrogance, so on and so forth. So this Dharma teaching, sharing of the Dharma, is the only medicine which will be able to cure the mental sores. There is no other external medicines that can cure mental sores, that can cure your emotions, that can cure your fearfulness and anxieties, suffering, all this different type of suffering from aversion, anger, jealousy, hatred, and so forth. Obviously, there are some external medicine, but they cannot, cure them completely. They can suppress them a little bit. But the most beneficial medicine to completely cure from mental sorrow is the Dharma practice itself, because Dharma practice, the teachings of the Dharma, is the remedy to our negative afflictions and emotions. As long as you are overpowered by the negative afflictions and emotions, you have mental sorrow. So these causes of mental sorrow, which are known as negative afflictions and emotions or defilements, you can eliminate this through Dharma teaching, by the practice of the Dharma, because instructions of the Buddha, the Dharma itself, is the remedy, is the antidote to eliminate these negative afflictions and emotions. Therefore, these teachings are very relevant even in 21st century, and it will remain relevant for the next centuries. So therefore, you should not hesitate of giving Dharma. That is why, you can take example like our Rinpoche, the very venerable Khenpo Thangpo Rinpoche. When he came from Tibet to India, he had nothing except this wonderful teaching in his mind. And because of that reason, he never hesitated of giving this Dharma teachings himself, but he kept sharing this Dharma. He traveled all over the world preaching Dharma, giving instructions, meditation instructions, these different types of wonderful instructions, empowerments, reading transmissions. And because of that, he was able to, benefit so many beings. And not only that, he had second vision of, promoting these wonderful teachings, preserving these wonderful teachings. So in order to preserve this wonderful relevant medicine or the Dharma teaching, you will need to have some kind of institution. That is why he established different monasteries, nunneries, Dharma centers in different parts of the world, free education, giving free education, schools, giving free medicines, medical clinics. And once he had this vision, people automatically contributes. That's what I mean by the more you give, the more you receive. The less you give, the less you receive. And if you hold and give nothing, it will just remain there and will never multiply, never increase. So the best way of, if you want to accumulate wealth, the main source or the cause of accumulating wealth is practicing generosity. So likewise, Rinpoche practiced generosity, the third type of generosity, by sharing of the Dharma. He was able to benefit so many beings. And in order to preserve this wonderful Dharma, he was able to, establish these different types of institutions. But in order to establish these institutions, you need a wealth. But he didn't have any. But then, by practicing the third type of generosity, sharing of the Dharma, people like his idea, people appreciate his idea. Therefore, all the people around the world contribute with their ability. Because of that, we now can see how the Dharma flourishing in this world with Rinpoche's kindness and compassion. You can see many different monasteries, nunneries, schools, pre-medical clinics, Dharma centers, and benefiting so many monks and nuns and lay children of Himalayas, giving them free education, free food, clothing, shelter, education, and free Dharma. And you can now see that those individuals who have been benefited by Rinpoche, having under the compassion umbrella of Rinpoche, now they are able to benefit other beings. So this is how the Dharma practice passed down. This is how the generosity practice passed down to the next generation. So we need to preserve these wonderful teachings of the Buddha, which is very beneficial for the sentient beings. So therefore, you can see now, as it mentioned by Buddha, if you need wealth, practice generosity. Likewise here, again, by Rinpoche practicing generosity, he was able to accomplish all these beautiful, wonderful tasks, establishing centers, monasteries, nunneries, schools, and benefiting thousands of people out of his compassion without any expectation for himself. Isn't this so wonderful? So now it falls on our head, it's our responsibility to follow the Rinpoche's way of life, to take Rinpoche as your role model, then try to preserve this wonderful teaching, then try to share this Dharma for the benefit of others. Likewise, because of that reason, you can see there are many now Khenpos, Lamas, Dharma teachers who are following Rinpoche's example, and including lay practitioners, helping others, organizing Dharma centers, running Dharma centers, benefiting others, benefiting Rinpoche's wish, contributing in Rinpoche's wish. All these wonderful things are happening, which are very, much appreciable. So, therefore, you should not hesitate giving up the Dharma, teaching the Dharma. And how you should give the Dharma? There are 4 different topics as mentioned by GAMPOPA here. The first one is recipient. You should take who is receiving the Dharma from you, Give Dharma to those who want Dharma, to those who respect the Dharma and Dharma teachers. So here GAMPOPA says you should only give Dharma to those who want Dharma, to those who have faith and devotion to Dharma and the Dharma teacher. You should not, forcefully give Dharma teachings to others. That's not advisable here. If you try to give Dharma teaching forcefully, that will be like converting someone's religion, which is a contradiction of Buddha's teaching. So therefore, you should first check the vessel, check the listener, whether they really want Dharma or not, whether they have faith and devotion or interest in the Dharma or not. Otherwise, you shouldn't. You should do other things. Like, remember, we have these 4 different methods of maturing sentient beings. The first one is practicing giving them food, clothing, shelter. So you can at least do that. Not necessarily to teach them Dharma yet, but just benefit them without any kind of expectation. That is the practice of generosity, by giving wealth. Second is by speaking honestly, nicely, with respectful. That means that you should, while you give, you should give with respect, with compassion. Speak with low and respectful voice rather than shouting and ordering. So way of Bodhisattva is always considered as peaceful and gentle gesture, gentle thought, gentle voice, gentle appearances are very much important here, which will support your meditation at the same time. Then only you can give the Dharma, the third type of method, skill in means. Then 4th one is whatever you teach, you practice yourself at the same time. Otherwise, you give wonderful teachings, but then if you do not apply yourself, they will be taking you as their role model, your guru. So if you don't practice, then they will lose faith and devotion to you. They will think, oh, he's telling good things, but he's not applying them. He says don't kill, but he himself is killing. He says don't use alcohol, but he himself or herself is taking alcohol. So that is not a good model, role model, good example. You as being a teacher, you should give good example to students. That is what is encouraged here. So in other words, practice what you preach is very important. So these 4 means of ways to mature sentient beings. So you should not, it's not necessary that you should give Dharma teaching right away. You can just practice generosity, giving of the wealth, and giving protection, the first 2. Then only if you think the vessel is ready, the student is ready, and the student have the wish to listen Dharma and have faith and devotion to Dharma and Dharma teacher, then only you start teaching. That's the first one, checking the recipient. Second is the motivation of that teacher. Particular teacher should have good motivation while teaching the Dharma. Here it says, GAMPOPA says that avoid evil thoughts and maintain gentle thoughts. So these two. Dharma teacher should avoid evil thoughts and remain in gentle thoughts. So what are those? Furthermore, avoiding evil thoughts means that you should give Dharma teachings without considerations of wealth, honor, praise, fame, and so forth. Obviously, you are practitioner of the Mahayana vehicle. You are practicing Bodhisattva way of life. So we should always remember that what is our purpose? Our purpose is to benefit sentient beings, and for that reason we need to attain enlightenment. So our purpose is benefiting sentient beings, then why are now considering ourselves of our wealth, name, fame? So that's not necessary at all. Whatever you teach, whatever you can share Dharma, share with pure motivation, share with pure heart, thinking that you will be able to benefit someone with compassion, out of compassion. This is what it means by avoid the evil thoughts. If someone's giving teaching with the worldly considerations of wealth, name, fame, publicity, then this is evil thought. This is, rather than benefiting others, is looking for your benefits. Then you are not bodhisattva anymore, because you change your track, you change your focus, you change your attention. So our attention should be benefiting others before us. So that is why GAMPOPA says here, avoid evil thoughts. Okay, and the next one is maintain the gentle thought. Okay, the first one the condensed perfections of Wisdom Sutra says, give teaching fully to the students, to the sentient beings, without material consideration. Kashyapa Requested Sutra also says that giving Dharma teachings with a pure mind, without material consideration, is highly praised by all the victorious one. If someone's practicing generosity or giving Dharma without any kind of considerations of self-center, that is praised by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, because all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas themselves has practiced in the same manner. So if someone's practicing in the same manner, obviously you'll be praised by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. What else you need? Don't expect praise from the individual, normal, ordinary individual, because they are not certain. There's no certainty. They can change any time. So don't expect that kind of appreciation. But if you do your generosity, practice of giving the Dharma with pure motivation, that's it. Not any expectations. Then automatically you will be praised by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. What else you need? That's the highest, praise for you. If you are being praised by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, isn't it? Okay. And the second one is maintaining gentle thought, means showing Dharma motivated by compassion. When you give teachings, Dharma, you really want to see sentient beings freeing from suffering. That's why you're giving these medicines. Just like a doctor, a doctor or nurse will see their patients, have compassion in their patients. They want to wish patients be recovered from that particular pain and diseases as soon as possible. Because of that, with that kind of motivation, they try to diagnose disease. They try to, prescribe medicines, and nurse will support them, make sure that they are taking medicine in on time or not, and hygiene, health, food, all these considerations are there, concerns are there. Likewise, as Dharma teacher, you should have same kind of motivation, wanting to see sentient beings freeing from suffering, wanting to see sentient beings having happiness, and with that kind of motivation, giving the medicine, which is the Dharma, the perfect Dharma, the perfect medicine, which can cure mental sufferings. Give Dharma, the condensed perfections of Wisdom Sutra says, give Dharma to the world in order to eliminate sufferings. That is the purpose. Then the fourth topic. Okay, first you check the recipients. Second, you check your own motivation. If there's the ill will thought, you avoid this and maintain in the gentle thoughts with compassion. And then third one is now giving the real Dharma. Here, actual Dharma, show the Dharma, sutras and so forth without mistake and perversion or misinterpretation. Obviously, as a Dharma teacher, you should give the real Dharma, share the real Dharma to others. You should not make something new with your own up. Obviously, you can give some good examples. You can share your experiences of sufferings of samsara, or you can share your stories with which relate to your teacher, how you came to Dharma, how you are benefited by the Dharma. These are wonderful things to share. But you should not make Dharma yourself. You should teach Dharma according to the Dharma. That is why it says, give the real Dharma without mistake or without misinterpretation. Obviously, giving the pure Dharma, sharing the pure Dharma, most of the time, people get a little bored and they fall asleep because there's no entertainment. There's no jumping, noise, movements and all. That's why people fall asleep. But this is much better than going into party, jumping, having music and taking alcohol and smoking and all. Those are temporarily, and when you involve more on those occasions, then you feel tired, and it will create more kind of suffering later on. Whereas in this case, listening to Dharma, sharing the Dharma, even though there's no much entertainment, it is the genuine Dharma. Still, it is the great medicine that can heal your mental sufferings. So therefore, you should always encourage yourself, always feel joyfulness within yourself when you do Dharma practice. Don't get bored. Always think the beneficial effects in your mind. Always recall the loving kindness and compassion of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Always think that this is the antidote to eliminate your suffering. This is the right path that you are in, and this is the practice that you are encouraged to. Then obviously, when you have interest, you feel a joyfulness automatically, and with that kind of joyfulness, you will never feel bored or tired or fall asleep. Okay. Obviously, nowadays you modify a little bit of the way of teaching. You can have some kind of jokes, and if you are trying to fall asleep, you can have another activities like different types of music, Dharma music, or walking meditations, or all these different types of methods one can apply. But having said that, it doesn't mean that you can also modify Dharma itself. Dharma should remain pure Dharma as it used to be when Buddha first gave the Dharma in Varanasi. That shouldn't change. Then this is like real Dharma, teaching of real Dharma without any expectation, without any considerations of wealth, name, fame, and so forth. If that happens, that will benefit because there's a genuine, kind of motivation, genuine kind of compassion is involved. So because of that blessing, it will definitely benefit sentient beings. Whereas if you have some kind of considerations of wealth, name, fame, then it is mixed with the samsaric ambitions, which is not so good, which is not encouraged here at all. So actual Dharma, showing the actual Dharma. In giving the Dharma, the Bodhisattva Bhumi says, in giving the Dharma, the meaning should be shown without mistake. It should be shown logically, and the disciple should be allowed to practice perfectly the basis of the training. So if you are teacher or Dharma teacher, you should teach Dharma with logical background at the same time. Not only sharing the Dharma, but sharing with reason why it is important to practice Dharma, why it is important to generate loving kindness and compassion. We always need to have a good reason why. Then students will be able to adapt these teachings. It's not just kind of having blind faith and ordering them to, you must do it, you must finish this, and you must do that. This kind of will not last long. Students will have not much kind of interest. But if you tell them why you have to do this, what are the beneficial effects of doing so, the reason why we need to generate bodhicitta, why our negative afflictions and emotions are disturbing us, why they are blocking from our attainment of our perfect happiness. So if you're able to present this with the logical good reason, then obviously this will be very helpful for them. So this is also encouraged here. And finally, the fourth point is the method of showing the Dharma teachings, how one can show the Dharma. Here it says, you should not give teachings immediately when someone asks you. The King of the Meditative Observation Sutra says, concerning the generosity of giving the Dharma, if someone requests it, first you should respond this way: I have not studied that in detail. So this is actually for the purpose of cutting down your ego, cutting down your pride. So be simple, practice simplicity and be kind of gentle. Obviously, even though the teachers they know, they always first say no, I don't know, or I have not studied this. This is to cut down their ego. They will not right away say, oh yes, I can teach you, I know this, I am the scholar, I am this realizer, I am this and that, all their positions. They will not show up, they will not act in a show-up way. This is the different culture here. Buddhist culture encourages us to be humble, gentle, soft-spoken, and later on, after examining the visual, the receiver's point of view, whether they are really interested in Dharma or not, then only the second step is, then only they will say, okay, I'll teach you. Yes, I know this, I have this kind of reading transmission from that particular teacher. Yes, I have this empowerment, so I can bestow that upon you. Yes, I have this kind of knowledge, so I can share this. This will come in the second stages. So this all happens because to cut down your ego, cut down your pride. Otherwise, there's a danger. There's a risk of, if many people praise you, if many people come to you and bow down, and then you feel pride, you think, oh, you are something very special now. Then there's chances of giving rise to pride, arrogance, and slowly Dharma teacher will be like a business kind of CEO or the boss of the company, so which is not good at all. So Dharma teacher, we should always be humble, gentle, and soft-spoken, and always look at their, whether they are giving rise to ego or pride or not. This is very important. And also, do not relate it immediately. You should start by examining the vessel, the student. Once you know the vessel well, the student well, then you should give teachings even without a request. See? So this is how do you balance. So when you really see the students really want the Dharma, their request is genuine, they really want to practice the Dharma, there is not any kind of ill will is involved, then you should not hesitate giving teachings even though they do not request you. You say, okay, come tomorrow at this time, I'll teach you this, I'll teach you that, out of compassion. That is not show up, that is out of compassion, because you have already examined the vessel. You know the purpose. Okay? When one gives a teaching, it should be at a clean and pleasing place. A White Lotus of Sublime Dharma Sutra says, in a clean and a pleasant place, build a wide and comfortable throne. So, where you give Dharma teachings, obviously we give Dharma teachings in Dharma centers and monasteries and nunneries, where there are image of Buddha, offerings are made, and then there's the place where the teacher will sit, known as throne. So this all need to be prepared. And why we need to have all this is to have respect, pay our respect to the Dharma. Because of that reason, we can see there are thrones in different centers, Dharma centers, monasteries, where our Rinpoches and teachers will sit and give teachings, or do puja, or give empowerment, whatever dharma activities are. And before doing so, they will bow down 3 times to that empty throne. They will do 3 prostrations to that empty throne. Why they do this? There's nothing on that throne, but you still, that dharma teacher will pay homage to that throne, or pay respect to that throne, is because they know that this is the throne meant for sharing the dharma, not for your body, but for the dharma that was given by Buddha himself. So with this kind of respect to the dharma, they do 3 prostrations to the throne, and then only they step on front and sit there and give teachings. And this is to respect the dharma. And obviously, slowly you can also pay respect to that particular being who is sharing the dharma, which is known as dharma teacher. That comes later, when you really observe his or her attitude, when you really see his or her qualities, then only you can generate both loving faith and devotion. The teachers should sit on the throne and give teachings. It is said, sit on the supported seat decorated with various silks. The teacher should give dharma teachings when clean, well-dressed, neat, and with gentle behavior. So teacher also, before he teaches, he should also, be neat. He or she should clean himself or herself, wear nice or clean clothes. This is also to present, your respect to the dharma. Thus, with all the disciples gathered, the teacher sits on the throne. And before he teaches, in order to dispel obstacles, he or she should recite the mantras which overcomes the power of Maras. So this is another culture here, different culture. There's a traditional way of dispelling obstacles, like Drupchen pujas or retreat, or even simply dharma teachings, where you make offering of torma to the local spirits, make them happy and ask them for their support, and not to make any kind of obstacles, so that the teachings will go smoothly, so that the participants will have good health, no sicknesses, no any kind of accidents to occur, to dispel all these negative influences or the obstacles. We have a traditional practice of offering tormas, dispelling the obstacles away. Likewise, this is here one kind of mantra is also mentioned here. So you can recite these mantras before you teach. These are different types of traditional way of dispelling obstacles, so that your dharma teaching or retreat or empowerment will go smoothly without disturbance. So this completes the giving of the dharma teaching. So we have completed all 3 different types of generosity: giving wealth, giving protection or the fearlessness, and giving of the dharma. The next presentation is to increase this generosity. How one can increase this generosity, even it is just simple, small amount, but you can increase this to make them unsurpassable, to make it infinite. So how can one do this? So next presentation is to increase the generosity practice. Even though these 3 generosities may be small, there is a method to increase them, and that is mentioned in Bodhisattva basket. Shariputra, a wise bodhisattva, can increase even a small gift of generosity. He or she can increase it through the power of primordial wisdom, can expand it through the power of discriminating wisdom, and can make it infinite through the power of dedication. So how one can increase their practice of generosity is by 3 means. First, through the power of primordial wisdom, realizations of your primordial wisdom, seeing every phenomena as non-existent, or realizations of emptiness. Second is through the power of discriminating wisdom, or kind of seeing why we need to practice this, the purpose of this practicing, for the benefit of others, obviously, and for that reason, in order to benefit others, we need to attain perfect enlightenment, and that's why we are practicing this generosity. So you don't have kind of self-centered attitude there. You don't have desire to the gift that you are giving, and you don't have kind of expectation. These are known as, discriminating wisdom. You really know what is good and what is bad, what is good way of practicing generosity. And then finally, through the power of dedication. Obviously, if you dedicate your merits, it will remain forever. It's shared to all sentient beings. If you just give it, that will be only yours, holding there, without much benefits. But when you share this, when you dedicate these good merits for the well-being of others, then it will remain there forever, as long as sentient beings remains. So these three means are very, very important, a very skillful means to practice. Okay, now in detail. First, increasing generosity through the power of promotive wisdom. How is this? It comes from the full realization of that is free from the three spheres. Three spheres: you as a giver, others as a receiver or recipient, and the act of generosity. So these three spheres. So if for us, for now, ordinary being like us, we have these spheres. We have these fixations of these three spheres. You think that yes, I am here, I am the giver, I am the bodhisattva, I am practicing this paramita. And you also think that these are the individuals whom I am benefiting, whom I am giving, wealth or dharma or fearlessness. So you have another type of sphere, individual or sentient beings. Then you have this act of generosity. Oh yes, I am giving food. Oh yes, I am giving this money. I am giving this cloth. I am giving this dharma. I am giving this protection. So you have this all the fixation, existent fixations. So when you are free from all these three spheres, then that is known as realizations of primordial wisdom. So when you are able to practice generosity without this, without kind of fixation of these three spheres, then you are free. You have nothing to hold. You have no kind of pride is involved. You have no self-centered attitude is there. You see everything as emptiness nature. Because when for us now, we see ourselves as something that really exists. I, calling ourselves I, something that really exists. But in fact, you cannot find this I, so-called I am the benefactor, they are the receiver, and this is the act. These are all the kind of mental imputation, or this all appears as one, but in fact they are combinations of so many substances, so many particles, which makes one, which seems like one. But if you really look deep down to its natural fact, you can't find anything like something that is single. You cannot find something that is singular, inherent entity. So you can take example of car, so to speak. When you say car, you can see that is the car. You also impute it from your mind, that's car. You keep the label car. But when you really look, try to find where is the car, you cannot find car. It is combinations of so many particles there. Wells, steerings, seats, covers, gear, all these different types of substances make kind of car. So this will explain in the sixth paramita wisdom in more detail. But now, how you can expand or increase your generosity with three means. The first is to realizations of this primordial wisdom, which is the freeing from three spheres, existence of three spheres: I, benefactor, they as a receiver, and act of your particular practice of generosity. So if you are free from these three, then your generosity will expand, multiplies. It will become infinite. So here it says, this is the realization that giver is like an illusion. So there's no really I, calling myself as I, can't really find it. So it's like an illusion. And the gift is like an illusion. and the receiver or recipient is also like an illusion. So this kind of realization is known as realizations of primordial wisdom. So if you're able to realize this primordial wisdom and then practice generosity, then your generosity will increase a lot. Second type is through discriminating knowledge, remember. So in order for one to receive great amount of merit from the generosity, then understand that they are increased by the power of wisdom awareness. In any kind of generosity practice, the three types of, the first you do it with the intention of giving things in order to establish all sentient beings in the state of enlightenment. So whatever practice, generosity practice you are giving, simply, for example, you are just giving $1 to one individual recipient who is in need of help. So you give this $1. At that time you think that I'm giving this $, to this particular being, so that in the future he or she may attain perfect and complete happiness. So this kind of pure motivation, this kind of aspiration should involve. And secondly, in the middle, while you are giving the generosity, you should not have any kind of attachment towards that particular gift. You should not have any kind of attachment to that $, without attachment for the gift. And at the end, free from expectations of any result. No considerations of your wealth, happiness, name, fame, whatsoever. Just give without any expectation, pure motivation, with true heart, just thinking of others, not yourself, just thinking of others. May they be free from suffering by this small act of mind of generosity. Isn't this wonderful? We should act according to these instructions. You should practice generosity with this kind of motivation, without any kind of expectation of whatsoever. No considerations for yourself. If you are able to do this, then you will receive a great merit of generosity. As it is said here in the condensed perfections of the Wisdom Sutra, one should remain without attachment to the gift. Also, one should not expect a result. Therefore, if one gives everything with a great skill, there will be infinite virtues even if one's gift is very small, $1. And the third one, through dedication. Third one is making generosity infinite through the power of dedication. So it increases, your act of generosity will increases infinitely if one dedicates this generosity practice to the unsurpassable enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. The Bodhisattva Bhumi says one should not practice generosity by looking at the result. Looking at the result, meaning here temporary result of fame, good health, money, good body and all. Rather, you should look beyond that. You should look for the result of complete and perfect happiness or enlightenment. That's advisable. That's your bodhicitta isn't it? You said, I want to benefit sentient beings, so I need to attain Buddhahood. Two objectives: attainment of perfect and complete enlightenment for the benefit of others. So for others' well-being, you can attain enlightenment. You can wish for result of perfect and complete enlightenment. That's okay, because your purpose is for others. Focus is for others. Otherwise, if you just focus for your own benefits, considerations of your wealth, money, name, fame, good body, good health, then that will be a little bit like samsaric way of dealing with others, a kind of give and take kind of business attitude is there. So you should be free from this. All the generosity practices should be dedicated to unsurpassable, perfect and complete enlightenment. So all these trainings, particularly this training of generosity, you should dedicate for the attainment of enlightenment. And for what purpose? For the purpose of benefiting others. See, you should be very careful with this goal, with this intention. Okay. Dedication not only increases generosity, but it also causes it to become inexhaustible. You know how? The Akashayamati requested sutra says, Shariputra, for example, a drop of water dropped in an ocean will not be exhausted until the end of the kalpa. Likewise, when one dedicates the root of virtue to enlightenment, it will not be exhausted between now and when one achieves the heart of enlightenment. So, if you dedicate your merits for all sentient beings, then that merit will remain as long as sentient beings remains. It's like a drop of water dropped in ocean will last as long as the ocean lasts. So that's why it is beneficial. This is how you can increase your merits, increase your practice of generosity. Okay, with that happy ending, I encourage you to practice generosity. All three, any of these three generosity practices advisable. So I will give here today, and we'll finish the next point, which is to make perfections of generosity in next session. So thank you very much for your attention, and I would like to encourage you to have some spare time on your weekends, maybe, to go through a little bit of those teachings and contemplate the meaning and try to apply them. They are very relevant, very fruitful, very beneficial. Okay, thank you. Let's dedicate the merits for the benefit of others. As it says here, dedication is very, very important. Sonam deye tamje zegbanye tomne ngebe danam pamje ne gegana che balap tubai sibe chole ndo wan do